Journalist Rajesh Sharma has filed a public interest litigation in the Delhi High Court challenging the non-regulation of deepfake technology in India. Delhi High Court issued notice to the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology on a PIL filed by him. In his PIL, he said the deepfake technology poses significant threats to various aspects of society, including misinformation and disinformation. Today, me and Amitabh are going to have a discussion on this serious issue like deepfakes. I have a few questions regarding deepfake regulation. What is India doing to tackle this issue, and what social and media matters doing about this? All right, let's go to Amitabh and have a chat on this. Hi Amitabh, welcome to one more discussion.
Look forward to it, Vicky.
Today we are struggling with so many issues in online world like hate speech, misinformation, disinformation, and one of the biggest upcoming threats India is going to see is deepfakes. Or I would say it's already here. So first of all, I would like to know from you what deepfakes is.
Deepfakes are artificial intelligence generated content, which could be images, it could be videos, it could be audio. The 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 methodology behind a deepfake is that the computer has completely generated that piece of content, again, image, video, audio, by itself. That means it was trained on a few images of me. You give it 100 million images of me, and then you ask it to dress Amitabh like a Mexican in Venezuela. Now, I have never worn Mexican clothes, I've never been to Venezuela, but the computer creates it completely based on what it was trained on. And it is important to understand, because currently in India, and I see this a lot, everything which has anything to do with a little bit of computers, be it Photoshop, be it video editing, everything is being called a deepfake. So everything is not a deepfake. There is a difference. There are also shallow fakes. There are also photoshopped images. There is also edited audio, edited video. Deepfake, according to me, is a piece of content which is entirely generated by artificial intelligence. What could happen is, like it has happened in multiple deepfakes that we have seen, that only a portion of the whole video you are seeing is artificial intelligence generated. So AI generated content is something which is deepfake. And like you said in your introduction, Vicky, it has already come into India. Our partner or company, Contrails.ai, is working very, very closely with many fact-checking units and has done many deepfake investigations. So it is already there and it's being used massively in Indian elections.
So why is it important to regulate deepfakes?
So this is a good one. I'll again refer to one of the books I've spoken about a couple of times, which is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. He got a Nobel Prize for it, if I'm not incorrect, but it's a very popular book. And the chapter 11 of this book talks about anchors, right? So anchors like we have in the ocean, there are also anchors in our mind. So let's say something very impactful that has happened in your life. You have burnt your finger with fire, and that's why you have learned that stay away from fire. Now, the difference between a deep fake and a shallow fake or a cheap fake is that in shallow fake or cheap fake, there is still some doubt because of bad quality. Deep fakes are so good that it is very difficult for the mind after a while to differentiate between it being real or fake. Right? So even at a rational level, this cannot happen. But once you have seen it, so think about a movie like Matrix. right? Or let's think about Lord of the Rings. We know there is a lot of AIGC content over there. There's a lot of video editing which has been done, but it's very difficult for us to say was that real or was that fake because it was so good. So the problem with deep fakes, and especially when they are being used for a negative content, is once you have heard it, once you've seen it, you cannot unsee or unhear it. So it makes an impact. So it's a very solid anchor in our mind, and that's why more impactful. Hence, its misuse has to be stopped, and that's why it's important to regulate. Another place where everybody is very scared of deepfakes is in CSAM and CSEA, where already there are reports coming and trends coming that it is being extensively used by pedophiles, and it is being extensively used in sextortion rackets. So the negative use of deepfakes has already started. And this is where it is very, very important that we regulate them and we ensure that there is no negative use of this technology.
In our previous interview or discussion, I would say you spoke about this book, this Thinking Fast and Slow.
Thinking Fast and Slow, yeah.
The chapter you spoke about is Anchors. Okay.
Yeah.
So you seems really impressed with this book. So tell our users where they can find this book or audio or podcast they can hear or read.
I think it's one of the most popular books, so you'll get it everywhere. I get it from Audible, from Amazon. So if you search for Thinking Fast and Slow, you'll get it. But I'm sure it's on Apple Store and Google Store and everywhere. It's one of those very, very highly recommended books. I would also recommend it to you. Please read it and listen to it. So it is a very it's a very good book. Yeah.
So I'll go back to my question. The next question is it even possible to regulate deepfakes?
That's a good question. It is very difficult, but it is very possible. There are already organizations working on it. A very major effort is being made by some of the leading companies like Adobe, Microsoft, and others called C2PA, where they are talking about content authentication. It's been going on for a while. It's one of the global leaders. OpenAI just announced that it is going to release tools for fact checkers. Contrails, the company which is a partner of Social and Media Matters, they have already created this tool, and it is being used by fact checkers in the field, helping them in elections. So the way basically to do it, and it's beautiful, is that the human imperfections are what make us human, right? I know my name is Amitabh, my name is Ami, but every time I say Ami, it's a little different. Little different. It is not exactly the same. And if a computer does it, then it will be exactly the same. This, because of my age, because of my throat, because of many air, I will change every time a little bit, micro milli change in my voice fingerprint. Similarly, if I sign my name, which I've been signing for so many years, there's a minor difference at a pixel level, let's say. But when it comes to computers, that will not happen. The only method of catching deepfakes right now, and our AI guru Digvijay can tell us more, is basically creating discriminatory models. So just the way diffusion models are created, and so what you do is you reverse engineer and you try to find, are there any faults? And if there are faults, then it is human. If there are no faults, then it is probably created by artificial intelligence. Where we are very good even right now is the popular names that everybody knows: Gemini, OpenAI, DALI. This we can figure out because the fingerprinting is quite simple. But there are lots of open source models which are hard to predict. So it will keep on getting difficult, but it will always be possible, and this is where human intelligence and human creativity will play an important role.
So we are talking about regulations, and India is a huge country. Okay, so keeping that in mind, where do you see regulations in India going?
Well, there have already been guidelines right before the election. There were guidelines from Ministry of Electronics, Information and Technology, which they later pulled back. And there have been guidelines also on misinformation, so on both the things, on deep fakes as well as fake news. See, the beauty of India is it has the smartest people. And that is also the problem of India because smart people usually don't agree with each other on everything. So I think India has the most beautiful written laws. Since our constitution, I think one thing we can be very proud about is the laws that we write. The biggest problem about Indian laws is the implementation. I mean, we are 2 billion people, very, very smart people. We know how to hack the world. There's a reason we are the backbone of the world's technological background is India. Like we are the backbone. So when you have so many smart people, there are also good people and bad people. So implementation is a problem. But yeah, whenever the guideline will come out, I think it will be very good. It will be very positive, but it will take time for it to come out, and we should take time because it's not an easy job to solve.
Okay, and the last question and very tricky one: what is social and media matters doing for this regulation, for this deep fakes?
I mean, social media matters is doing what it does for everything that we do, that we are learning from the ground, based on our ground learnings, which happens through conversations, workshops, these awareness videos. We basically work together with policymakers, multiple stakeholders. So, social media matters is also a part of artificial intelligence knowledge consortium AIKC, which was recently launched. Social media matters is also a think tank backing Contrails.ai, which is a startup working against it. And social media matters will also be organizing multiple roundtables to gather the thought leadership from the industry, from the tech policy people, and most importantly, from the common user, the youngsters in school, the college going students, their parents, and try to contribute in a very analytical manner, in a very useful manner to the various ministries. So that's a job. We have done it for, the data privacy bill, which became an act. We are doing it for the Digital India Act. The same process will be followed for working on a framework for child safety in artificial intelligence. So that is what our scope of work will be. We have already started working with partners. I think starting August, we'll roll out that initiative.
And people who are watching these interviews, they are, lot listening about the Contrails.ai and Digvijay. So can we have Digvijay or Contrails.ai on these discussions?
So I think you will be understanding Digvijay the best because he's also a techie like you. So technical people like to do their work and they like to stay in the background. You are a special personality because you like roadies and all of that. So it was easier to bring you in front of the camera. But I'm sure, Diggy, if you are hearing this is a big demand of Vicky and the whole team and people watching. So we will, we will definitely extend this invite and make sure that he comes. I think we would have to work very specifically on the questions because he is an artificial intelligence scientist and he would like to give very specific answers to very specific questions. So and you would have to do a lot more homework. But yeah, let's make it happen. Why not? I think it will be very informative and also for people to understand. I think the two questions that you asked me, where his answers will be a lot better, is what are deepfakes? He can explain it at a very technical level. Also, what is the methodology of detecting deepfakes? Because in text, Vikram, it has already become impossible. It has already become impossible in text to tell whether this is human written or written by machine. And even in audio, it has become very, very difficult, apparently. These are the two things where it is very difficult even right now. So it'll be great to have him. Let me ask him and try to get him to the next talk.
So next it will be video. It is going to be really difficult to find the video is real or not.
Yeah, so on the video, because we've been doing this investigation, some of the things that I know is like what you also talk about, right? You always tell us to keep a natural background, don't blur it. Why? Because on the edges, if I had a fake background if my fingers would create a problem. So
Yeah.
AIGC, deepfakes, also on the edges, it's easy to figure out. Number two, teeth. It does not get the teeth right at the moment. At least the cheap ones don't. Maybe the expensive ones. So basically, getting our unique features right in high definition it will become very expensive. You can still do it, I'm sure, but it'll become very expensive to create that high quality content because our retinas are very different. Everybody has a different retina. Our skin is very different. So, like I said in the beginning, what we call our faults or our imperfections, that is what makes us human. And I think artificial intelligence is telling this to us very, very clearly.
Thank you, Amitabh. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, man.